good afternoon, good morning, everyone. We've got an audience joining us from around the world, and it is so nice to have you as we kick off our second week of epic broadcasts here at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. My name's Jesse. I'm your virtual adventure guide for today, and I want to say a huge welcome as we dive in with another amazing school year. Now, last week, we got the chance to hang out with wildlife filmmakers, epic adventurers that rode across the Pacific Ocean. We got to talk about the James Webb Space Telescope and so much more, but I'm so excited to dive in with today's speaker. We get the chance to hang out with Greg usually about once a year, sometimes twice if we're lucky, but he is one of the most inspiring and amazing people that we have on the broadcast. Now, he's going to tell a bit about his personal story today and his run across America, as one does, 3,000 miles across a whole nation, go for a stroll. But I really want to stress the fact that his whole life is about bringing joy to people and encouraging people to pursue their goals, to help with mental health, to do all sorts of good things for the positive of mankind. So I always like to highlight that for people. Adventures are great in and of themselves. A lot of the people we bring on the broadcast take the opportunity to go on these grand journeys around the globe, but Greg really takes that and puts it to something really, really good for mankind. We'll learn a little bit about his Run Far Foundation today as well, but I just want to leave that with you as an opening gambit for today's broadcast. Now, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Greg to share a little bit about his incredible journey. Thank you so much for joining us today, Greg, and take us away.
Awesome, Jesse. Thank you so much. And hello, everybody. My name is Greg, and I am so excited to be with you. I recently completed a big adventure, and it was a lot of fun. It was also really hard. One of my favorite parts about all of it is the chance to share with all of you. I have some photos that I've prepared in a presentation to give you a sense of what we've done. So I'm gonna try to share my screen. It's my first time, so hopefully it works out. And maybe Jesse and others can let me know if I goof up here.
I'm here for you. This is half the fun. Something should go a little strangely in a tech presentation. Otherwise, do you know?
Oh, exactly. So I'm going to try to share my screen. Wonder if that's going to work here.
Should work. StreamYard tends to be pretty happy-go-lucky. While you're doing that, too, I'll just share again on screen. If you want to check out your personal website, gregnance.org. You have some amazing stuff on social media with @Greg Runs Far on Instagram and @Greg Nance on Twitter. And of course, our Run Far Foundation. Lots of good stuff on the go. Now, Greg, you got it up. You're perfect. You're all set, man.
Excellent. Sweet. So I recently ran across America. It was a long, amazing journey, 3,156 miles. And I'm excited to share more about it with you. This is a picture of Mount Rainier. This is kind of the view from where I live on Bainbridge Island, Washington, in the northwest corner of the United States. And this picture is where it all begins for me, because looking up at this beautiful mountain, at the beautiful sea, and this wonderful forest, that's how I became an adventurer when I was about your age. I started running, I started climbing, I started swimming, and I had big dreams of big adventures. From the time I was just a little guy. That's me a lot of years ago. With big dreams, I wanted to make some big stuff happen. And the only way to make it happen is to get started. And so I started dreaming. I started running. I started swimming, started climbing, all with a picture of going bigger and better and higher as I'd go. And so many years later, I actually start a group called the Run Far Foundation. And our aim is to do big stuff and to inspire young people and youth mental health through after-school running clubs and through community grants where young people can take action. And so that's my passion. And as our kickoff, I want to do something really, really big. I wanted to run from New York City all the way to the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic to the Pacific. And that was the aim, crossing 14 states and over 3,000 miles. That was the goal. But the journey of 3,156 miles begins with a single step. So this is me about to put my feet into the Atlantic Ocean on April 25th at sunrise. A lot of things were going through my mind in this moment, including, what am I thinking? This is so crazy. And also so much excitement, because I've been dreaming of this moment for years and years and years and years. And I was about to make it happen with that first step. That's where it always begins. And I was doing it with the help of an amazing team. Though I'm going to be the guy running, I've got wonderful teammates. That's Dr. Yoshi, that's Reed, and that's Elise, my team, who's going to guide me and help me and support me every step of this journey. And so one of the first things I learned, and the first thing I want to share with you, is if you have a big goal and a big dream, you can absolutely make it happen, especially if you're working with a great team. And so this is the first day. That's New York City behind me. And I am so excited. I've got the 12 flag, which is our team, our Seattle Seahawks football team flag. It's my lucky flag that I carry with me in my rucksack while I run. And so it's my first day on the adventure. I'm in New York City after touching the ocean, and I'm all smiles. I'm very, very happy. And part of why I'm happy is because I get to run. This is me with Reed, who's my crew chief. We are now in the Pennsylvania foothills. Just climbed a really big hill together, and I'm doing what I love. I love running. I love getting out there adventuring and seeing new places. I'd actually never been to the foothills of Pennsylvania and Appalachia, but I'm loving it because I get to see it with my buddy Reed, and we're having a great time already. I am making good progress. I'm reaching Pittsburgh, which is the western side of Pennsylvania. And I have a big smile because Cliff Bar just sent me a ton of nutrition. This is an entire box full of Cliff Bars, which is my favorite snack while I'm running. I love eating Cliff Bars. I love eating Doritos. I drink protein shakes because one of the hardest parts about running across America is having enough to eat. And so I'm always eating. I'm always trying to drink and get more hydration, more nutrition down. And so friends at Cliff Bar made it a little bit easier with a big shipment here as we go. And eventually, one step at a time, we're past New York, past New Jersey, past Pennsylvania, into Ohio. And this was a beautiful moment because I realized, hey, one step at a time, we can go a long, long way. We're already to Ohio, and we're heading west as we go. But it's also really challenging to run 40 or 50 miles per day, including my poor feet. I'm sorry for those of you about to eat lunch. These are my feet about 600 miles into the journey. I have blisters. I have cracked toenails. Everything hurts. My feet are swollen, but I'm still trying to make my way west, one step at a time. And one step at a time, you can do some pretty amazing things. Already to Indiana, which is the Midwest in the United States, day 15 there. So just 2 weeks in, we're actually making some really, really good progress. I've got Dr. Yoshi there and Elise, my teammates, and we're having a great time as we go. Another few steps, we're into Illinois and the city of Chicago with Amanda and Ryan and Yoshi and Elise, my friends. And we have a little gathering there on the waterfront in Chicago, which was especially significant for me because actually Chicago is where I became a distance runner. It's my first time ever running long distances, and it was just so much fun to get back to Chicago to see where the journey really began in so many ways. But even in Chicago, we're only like 900 miles into the run across America. So we're just still beginning, but it's always better when you're there with good friends and having good memories. I keep moving west, step at a time, and we get to the Mississippi River. We cross into Wisconsin and through Iowa, and we are slowly but surely making strides. It's now day 24, and we're now building a really good rhythm, a really good routine. Yes, my feet still hurt. Yes, my shoulders hurt. Yes, my back hurts. Everything hurts, but there's nothing like making progress and continuing westward and westward and westward from the Atlantic, aiming for the Pacific. And wonderful things happen when you're actually out on the road. That's me in the front being silly with a bunch of new friends. These guys are college students who heard about this guy running across the country, and they drove their RV to come find me because I had a live tracker. So they came and found me on, running on the side of the road. And it's just so much fun when you're out adventuring. Really wonderful things can happen. And so these group of guys, all passionate about mental health, track me down, and we have a really cool conversation on their spring break. And so fun moments while adventuring. And step by step, we continue making progress. I am now onto my second pair of shoes, which you can see in the photo there as we cross into Minnesota. And I had never been to the southern stretch of Minnesota, the Minnesota Prairie, and it's super beautiful. It's known as a savanna where there's big open grasslands, big tall oak trees, and it's really, really beautiful. It's known as like the Shooting Star Highway, named for some of the wildflowers that pop up during the spring and summertime, and so beautiful. And it was a wonderful moment where I'd been to Minnesota a few times, had never seen this, and my eyes were really open to how big this country is, how big the world is, and the best way to see it can be when we get out there and we go explore and we go enjoy. After running now over 1,200, 1,300 miles, my feet really, really hurt. And so Dr. Yoshi there is trying to take care of me. He's taping me up. He's bandaging me, but I've got these blisters. And if you look closely at the photo on the right, I actually have some pretty intense swelling. I have a lot of inflammation, especially in my left ankle. It really, really hurts. It's gotten really beat up from all the running I'm doing. And so much so that actually I have tendinitis. It's where your tendons begin swelling up, and it's really painful. And so from this point on, I'm using this medical tape. I have an ankle brace on. I've got my Band-Aids, of course, and I'm trying to hold it together, but it's really, really hard. And it's hard not only physically because it hurts, it's painful, but also mentally because I have so much more to go, more than 1,500 miles, and my body is kind of falling apart. That's how it feels like. And Reed, my buddy, he tells me, keep the world small. Keep the world small. And what that means, when we're going through a difficult thing, we can think about, oh gosh, it's already hard and there's so much more to go. And actually zoom in and remember that the step that matters most is the next step. And it's really the obstacle right in front of us is the way. And we're going to get really discouraged if we think too big and too expansively in those moments. Instead, keep our world small. Think about just the task in front of us, just the challenge right in front. And that can give us the momentum we need to keep moving. And that was really important advice for me to hear. And I remembered we eat the elephant one bite at a time. So a really big goal, we break it down into one small step and we can do it. So eat that elephant one bite at a time by keeping the world small. And find ways to have fun and relax. So this is Yoshi and Elise and I in South Dakota. On this particular day, there was a tornado. A tornado, my goodness, I've never dealt with that or seen that in Seattle. But because of this tornado, after 5 miles of running, we have to call it a day. It's too dangerous to be out running with the tornado around. And so we go watch Top Gun. And I don't know if any of you have seen this movie. It's really fun and entertaining, but it was a perfect way to relax and to enjoy the day. Even when we're not able to run as much as we had planned, we're able to go have some fun. And so when you're going through a challenging time or a tough experience, or when life throws you a curveball, find a way to have fun with it. And for me, Yoshi and Elise, it was going and taking a break, going to watch Top Gun. And whether you're into action movies or not, find something that makes you smile when you're going through a hard time, that helps you feel refreshed and rejuvenated and ready to get back after it. And that's exactly what we did this day with Top Gun. And eventually, day 38 rolls around, and I officially hit the 1,600 mile mark, which is halfway home to the Pacific Ocean. And that was a really, really sweet day because I realized I am going to make it a step at a time. We're going to find a way to make it all the way back. And slowly but surely, we cross all of South Dakota. We cross into Montana. And the journey just gets better and better because on this particular day, I meet an amazing man I want to tell you about. His name is Cedric Fighting Bear, and he's a tribal elder with the Cheyenne Nation in southeastern Montana. And Cedric is an amazing, amazing guy. He has had a very difficult life. He lost his parents by the time he was 8 years old. His mom and his dad pass away. He has an uncle that doesn't treat him very nicely. And so it is very difficult. It's where do I fit in? How do I make my way in the world? And despite all of the obstacles that Cedric faces, he has become one of the most hopeful and inspiring and resilient people that I have ever met. And learning about his life story and how he is aiming to help young people on the Cheyenne Reservation really, really just opens my eyes to every one of us. There's a higher version of us that we can work toward, that we can work to become. And when we have great people in our life, wonderful mentors and teachers and coaches, we have a simpler, more straightforward path. But even when we have to really go it alone, like Cedric did for many years, we can decide the meaning of that journey. And Cedric, absolutely amazingly, has decided to pay it forward and to decide to be a great mentor to young people in Cheyenne country there in Montana. And meeting him and learning about his story was absolutely inspiring for me. And there at breakfast on this day, I asked Cedric to join me at Run Far Foundation as one of our advisory board members to help us with our youth mental health programs. And he agrees. Cedric is an amazing, amazing guy. And out of every day during the Run Across America, this was one of my most memorable because I got to learn from someone who is totally different. Cedric's life has been really challenging, but also so deeply inspiring because of the way he's faced those challenges. And while I met him, I was thinking about my legs, how tired they were, how heavy they were, how difficult my own journey was. And Cedric helps me find new perspective and realize I get to do this. And this is such a wonderful blessing that I have a chance to chase my dream and pursue it and meet wonderful people like Cedric. As I say goodbye to Cedric, he stops me and he pulls out a red hawk's feather, which is a wonderful symbol of a long journey in Cheyenne folklore, Cheyenne culture. And then he pulls out a cedar chip and then a sweetgrass ribbon, which are symbols of safe passage. And he says a little prayer for me as he wishes me the best on my way to the Pacific. And it was just a really powerful moment with a really, really powerful, wonderful guy, Cedric Fighting Bear. With that new energy, that new enthusiasm, I continue heading west, crossing through this massive state of Montana. My buddy Rock, who's from Ohio, he flies out and he's going to now help me as I go, driving me further west through this wonderful place of Montana, through some challenging situations, including I almost stepped on a snake, what's called a bull snake. I'd never seen one before. I got way too close while I was taking some pictures in the bush, and it was very scary seeing a big snake. I didn't like that at all. Luckily, I did not see any rattlesnakes despite the danger signs. I was very glad to avoid those. And slowly but surely, we make our way across Montana into Idaho. And this was a wonderful moment, crossing the continental divide and then realizing that just like all the rain coming down, that's slowly going to make its way to the streams and the rivers and then the Pacific, so will I. It is all downhill from here. As I have a big smile realizing this, I then start reeling in the city of Seattle, slowly but surely. This is actually my mom. She just came down, and it was so inspiring and awesome to see my mom in action. She loves to run as well. She runs every day, 2 or 3 miles, and we got to run 3 miles together on this beautiful day back in early July. 99 miles from Seattle. I can't even believe it. I'm climbing down to the Cascade Mountains, another big mountain range. And now I'm getting so close to my hometown. I'm getting more and more excited. My legs are now feeling very light as I'm taking one step at a time. I've been eating that elephant one bite at a time, and I'm realizing like, wow, I'm going to eat the elephant. I am going to make this happen with the help of my teammates, with the help of my family and friends. We're going to do it. And reaching Seattle was just such a special moment with my buddy Avi, who flew in from Chicago, and then my buddy Race and Miles there at the waterfront, which is so much fun to be able to celebrate because these friends have been so wonderful and supportive every step of the way. My buddy Race, who's wearing the white t-shirt with the blue hearts there, he actually designed my uniform during the run, my shorts with the map of America. And he had the idea of wearing a race number for each day as we go. So being able to celebrate with friends that have helped me make this happen was really just a really, really special feeling. These 4 ladies are known as Team Mom, And they're the ladies that helped me to not only fundraise and to build our foundation, but every one of them is a mental health champion as well. So really personal tie to our mission. The lady on the far left and the far right have known me since I was in 4th grade. So since I was really, really small, they've known me. They've been so supportive and wonderful, and then now helping me to build our foundation for youth mental health. During the run across America, 3,156 miles, crossing 14 states, took me 84 days, over 5 million steps, 500,000 calories, and then 3 pairs of shoes, and then a lot of blisters, too many to count. But one step at a time, from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Pacific. My buddy Doug took a fun photo of me and a great photo of me and my family there at the Pacific. And it was one of those moments where when you've made a huge dream come true, it can be overwhelming in the most amazing way. And that's exactly how I felt, where this big dream that's been years and years in the making, really since the time I was that little guy dreaming, here it is. I got to do it with my sister, my parents, my little nieces, Hannah and Honora, and we get to soak it up. And that for me was just such a wonderful moment. And it's one that encapsulates the beauty of this experience. Every day during the run across America, I actually shared the people I'm meeting, photos of the places that I'm seeing on my Instagram, Greg Runs Far. And then I have a lot more about our mission and our youth mental health work at runfarfoundation.com. And so we do after school running clubs, and we do community grants, $100 to $500 for youth-led volunteer projects. If you have an idea to make your community better, we try to make that happen. And that's what this run was all about, connecting with young people, learning about challenges that they face, and how our foundation can be a resource for them with mentorship and funding to make their ideas happen and to support their mental health as well. Thank you for listening to my photo slideshow from the run across America.
Greg, what a fantastic program. And again, we're going to make sure all those classes have those links at the end of the broadcast too, so you can stay tuned for an email. We'll make sure you can follow along with Greg on social media, his website, Run Far Foundation, and so much more. But what I want to do now is dive in with questions. We've got groups from all over the continent today. Ms. Gandhi's class in Algonquin, Illinois, they've got to go in about 8 minutes. So I'm going to sneak them in for 2 to begin, and then we'll go one by one through all our other classes. So come on in, guys. Hey, I love the lights. Welcome in.
Hi.
Hi.
What inspired you to do the long run?
What inspired me? So I love adventure, and I thought, wouldn't it be amazing to see my home country, the United States, all the way from one ocean to the other? And so I had a dream. I don't actually even know where the dream came from, but I knew this will probably be the hardest thing that I ever do. And that really excited me. So take on big challenges, do it with a smile, do it with friends, and it's going to be an amazing time no matter how it goes.
So I have a quick follow-up on this. We're going to go back to Illinois in just a second, but you, in past broadcasts with us, talked about doing 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days. Was that harder than this, or was this the hardest? Did it end up being the hardest thing?
This was harder because I ran 1.5 marathons a day for 84 days. So
I would say so. Very cool. All right, Illinois, come on back in. Hi, come on up.
What was the hardest state to run through?
Ooh.
Hardest state to run through for me was South Dakota, because it's really big. There are a lot of days that are just really, really, really challenging, especially with my feet were hurting, my ankle tendonitis. I had taken a fall, so my shoulder really hurt. And so it was just really, really challenging. And it's also massive. It's a huge state. And so it feels like you're not making any progress at all. And so that's when I say, eat the elephant one bite at a time. I had to tell myself that every hour during South Dakota. So that was the hardest.
Was this a phrase that, is this like a family phrase? Because I've never heard it before, but I absolutely adore it. Like, where did you pick this up?
Good question. I heard it from some friend at some point, and yeah, eat the elephant one bite at a time. I'm stealing it now as my own. So.
Perfect. Yes. No one else says it. We're going to stick with you. We'll credit that as your phrase from now on.
There we go.
Miss Merrifield's class, North Yarmouth and Maine. If you guys want one, come on in. Hey guys.
What was your favorite state?
Ooh, that is a hard question, because I I love my home state of Washington. So I really loved running through my home state, but I loved every state. I think Pennsylvania may have been the most surprising because I'd only been to Philadelphia, which is a big city. And a lot of Pennsylvania is not a big city. It's very rural, it's hilly, it's mountainous, it's super beautiful. People were very friendly there too. So I love Pennsylvania. But I really enjoyed every place I went through, including Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota. Like really every place was special in its own way.
Yeah, I love that question, guys. Thanks, Miss Merrifield's class. Let's head to Miss Gertzen's class in Bueller, Kansas. If you guys have one, come on up. Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
What did you eat? Ooh. How did you sleep, drink, and eat when you ran?
Yeah, great question, man. So every night we'd actually stay in a motel or hotel on like the side of the road. And so, yeah, we would run. I would take, I would reach the truck every 5 or 8 miles. My friends were driving my pickup truck. I would have a meal. I would sit in the shade of the truck, maybe drink, and then keep running another 5, 6, 8 miles to the next little rest stop where the truck is. And after 40 or so miles, we would then stay at a hotel or motel. And I would try to sleep at least 8 hours before getting up and then doing it again and again and again and again. So there's a rhythm to this. Sleep is important. So is nutrition.
Yep. Great question, guys. We were getting this a little on YouTube as well, so I'm really glad we got that one in. Miss Martinell's class, I know your devices are off, but I'm so glad you're with us today, joining us at the Valeur School. They want to know what kind of shoes you wore. This is like your awesome chance for product placement, Greg.
Yes, so I love Brooks. It's a shoe company based in Seattle, my hometown, and I wore a model called the Transmit 3. And it's really comfortable, it's really light, and it also keeps your legs healthy because taking 5.5 million steps, that's a lot of steps. These shoes are very reliable, very durable, very tough. So Brooks Transmit 3.
Yeah, I love that throughout your entire presentation and the Q&A so far, there's such love for both your country and for the place that you live in. It's so nice when people take the time to do that and emphasize that. So I appreciate it very much. Miss Air, Miss Panakos' class, General Career 5.6s in Toronto. If you guys have one for us, come on in.
Hi, we're going to say hi. This is our team here
in what's up, guys?
Canada.
Woo.
And Greg and Jesse, thank you so much for being here and bringing us this. We actually brainstormed before meeting you today. We have a Terry Fox run coming up in our country. So we're going to be running as a school. But we brainstormed a question. We were wondering, did you ever place lowest in all of your like marathons and everything? Did you ever not get a good place? Like you were one of the lowest and you almost felt like giving up? And what did you do?
Yeah, great question. So part of what I don't mention in my presentation is I was not a natural runner. I always liked running actually, but I went out for the cross country team when I was in high school. I was not number 1. I was not number 2. I was actually number 8 at my high school. So I didn't even get a varsity letter. I wasn't one of the people scoring points. I wasn't one of the stars. And one thing that my parents tried to teach me, keep showing up. Because if you like it, if you enjoy it, it actually doesn't matter if you're winning a bunch of trophies or awards or setting records. It's about having fun. And so I did feel like giving up. It's hard, it's challenging, and I'm not even winning. But my parents reminded me, keep showing up. And I'm really glad they did because slowly but surely I keep improving. And then I realized, hey, I'm even stronger when I run farther. And then before long, I'm now really good at what I do and I really enjoy it. But it's all about following your smile. So keep showing up, keep working hard, good things happen.
Yeah, I absolutely love this. When we had the guy who rowed across the Pacific Ocean last week, people said, how did you even get started with that? And he's like, well, you just pick up a paddle. Like you start rowing, and you get impressively longer, and you end up doing it the biggest body of water on the planet. Same with running. For what it's worth, too, I did come in third last in the marathon that I did. It was like me and like 80-year-olds. It was very exciting. It was 5.5 hours, but it was a great time and smiling the entire time, which was great.
Amazing. Yes.
Miss Phelan's class, Valeur School, come on in, guys, in Petawawa, and take us away, grade 7s.
Do you have any other activities you enjoy?
Ooh,
Yes, great question. So I think life is more interesting when, yeah, you follow your interests. So I really like playing chess. So I do a lot of that. I really enjoy riding my bicycle, hiking, playing with my nieces in our backyard, playing tennis. So I like to stay active, but I also like to use my brain with like chess and reading, watching movies. So many interests.
I'm going to throw in a spoiler too, because you highlighted your social media. You emphasize Tex-Mex so much. And so we talked about food a little earlier. So what's the deal with Tex-Mex? How did this get started?
Oh man, so I love eating is actually probably the first thing I should have mentioned in my intro. So I love eating, and for me, there's nothing that compares with a really good burrito or tacos. So I don't really know where it came from, but I love Mexican food, and I'll eat as much Tex-Mex as I humanly possible.
Perfect. Excellent. You're welcome over anytime. We got lots of tacos here. Let's go to Mr. Peters' class, 7-8. Unmute that mic, and you're good to go. Hey, guys.
We got 2 questions over here.
Awesome.
I wanted to ask, how long did one pair of shoes last?
And Johnny, so first question, how long does a single pair last?
And have you ever ran in Canada before?
Ooh, great questions. So, yes, so the first one, I ran 1,400 miles with the first pair of shoes.
Wow.
So they were super tough and awesome. And then I did another like 1,000 or so with the second pair, and then probably about 800 or so with the third pair. And each one of them I could have run longer, but I want to keep my legs healthy. So that's why I switched them out when I did.
Yeah.
I have run in Canada. I've run in Vancouver. I've run in Pemberton, both of those British Columbia. And then I've run in Toronto, which is so beautiful. It was winter, so it was like very winter wonderland. And then my favorite run ever was actually in Montreal. I ran from the airport to the big cathedral along the water. And actually, I ended up setting the fastest known time for a run across Montreal. So it was so beautiful. I would love to go back and just enjoy it because Canada is such a big, amazing place.
It really is. And I don't know. So Miss Ayer's class, I mentioned the Terry Fox run. Is this something you're familiar with? Because for a lot of Canadians, this is their introduction to running, is Terry Fox.
It's so cool. So I've seen a documentary on Terry Fox, such an inspiring guy. And it's amazing the legacy that he's left in Canada. So y'all have a very, very cool running icon.
We try. Our Run Far Foundation en route to being the very same thing in the United States and beyond. So I'm really excited to have you.
Yeah.
Greg, you're whipping through these questions, man. This is great. This is like the fastest Q&A of all time. So I'm going to take a couple from YouTube, and then we'll head back to Miss Merrifield's class for another round.
Awesome.
Together. So Miss Wilson's class, Hamilton, Ontario, joining us. Autumn wants to know, how does it feel to run for so many days in a row?
Yeah. Autumn, the first couple days are really exciting and fun, and then it gets really tough because I'm just so tired and everything's hurting. But an amazing thing happens pretty soon after that. We start acclimating. Our body gets used to it, and we are way more adaptable than we realize. And so by the second or third week, mentally, I've adjusted really well. Physically, I'm adjusting. And then it just becomes a beautiful adventure. And I call it I'm road tripping across America at 5 miles per hour. And so that is true no matter what you're doing, whether it's running or whatever else. Little by little by little, you will travel far. You can go way farther than you ever dream possible when you keep showing up, when you keep eating that elephant one bite at a time.
I love that answer. And you highlighted the mental aspect of it too. Now, on your website, you talk about a personal experience with a mental health challenge and how running helped you through that. So because it's such an emphasis of your run across the U.S., I'd like you to talk a little bit about that for our students that might be undergoing something similar in their own lives or might have been around people with that.
Yeah, Jesse, thank you. So yeah, when I was 16, my grandpa, Charlie, who was my best adult friend, really my role model and hero, he went from being a very, very strong man to having a really, really tough, just like that, he had a huge stroke. And he went from being someone I could talk to about almost anything to someone who he didn't remember who I was, just like that. And when I was 16, this was the hardest thing I'd ever dealt with, seeing someone that I care so much about and being powerless to help him. Like he'd helped me so many times before. And so I felt a lot of depression. I felt very, very sad. And then I felt a lot of anxiety, anxiousness of what else in my life will fall apart here. And I made a lot of unhealthy choices to try to make myself feel better. And so I began drinking alcohol, and actually drinking way too much alcohol, and making, bad choices with drinking alcohol and then using painkillers. And instead of talking about my feelings or working through them with therapy or with counseling, or trying to do healthy things, I made unhealthy choices. And what I've learned is that when we feel depression or we feel anxiety, we need to find healthy outlets. And so for me, running and then volunteer service work were the two things that really helped me to get on my feet, helped me to feel better. And then I don't need to drink alcohol anymore. And so that was the choice that slowly but surely I was able to make to become a better version of me. And so for anyone out there that's feeling a little down or depressed or anxious, tell a friend how you're feeling. Tell your parents if you can. Tell your teacher, because there are resources, there is help, and you don't have to suffer by yourself like I did. You can actually get help to feel better.
And I think, for kids these days, when we were growing up, there's a real stigma associated with mental illness. And this still exists around the globe in some form or other, and still in Canada where I am. But for kids these days, you grow up and there's an emphasis and a knowledge that you don't need to be ashamed of these things. That this is, if you get the flu, you're not ashamed. If you have a mental health issue, if you're depressed, you don't need to feel ashamed about that. There are people to talk to. There are resources to have. And I love the emphasis on health and volunteering. So, not everyone's going to end up being you running across the U.S. and committing their entire life to volunteer ventures, but every little bit helps. And those are two consistent things that I find a lot of people really draw a lot of solace and support from. So I'm glad for sharing.
Well said, Jesse. Thank you. Yeah.
Miss Merrifield's class, we'll come back to you guys in Maine. We'll take some from our YouTube friends as well, and we'll do one round with all our classes. Come on back in. Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, I'm May, and I have two questions. The first question is, have you ever encountered like a dangerous animal? And then the second question is, have you ever faced any other running challenges?
Thank you for your question, May. So dangerous animals, I got pretty lucky, all things considered, during the run. I almost stepped on that bull snake, which was very scary. I think that was probably the most dangerous animal encounter. The bigger challenge is actually cars. It's people, because some people are driving maybe a little too fast, or they might be a little distracted. And so if you were feeling inspired to go run, make sure that you are wearing brightly illuminated clothing so people can see you, and then face traffic. So those are my safety tips that keep me safe and can keep you safe too. Running challenge-wise, there's a lot of challenges. So when you're first starting, your lungs, it feels like it's hard to breathe. Your legs can feel heavy. That's natural. Everybody feels that, especially when you're getting started. And then extreme heat. I have done racing in like the Malaysian jungle and in the Atacama Desert in Chile. It's really hot in both those places. And I've run a marathon in Antarctica where it's super cold. You're shivering the entire time. So temperature can make it really, really difficult. Feeling thirsty can make it really, really difficult. Feeling out of energy with not enough food can make it really difficult. So there are many challenges, but actually every challenge is a chance to be the stronger version of yourself. And so when you're going through a hard thing, May, remember, look, this is just a test for me to get better. And it's an obstacle, and it's an opportunity for me to improve.
Thank you for our first in 3,000 broadcast demonstration of bone-chilling cold in Antarctica. I appreciate that very much. Great question, May. All right, back to Canada's Miss Gertson's class. Come on in and take us away, guys.
Hi, my name's Kinsley. How long does it take you to run a mile?
How long does it take me to run a mile? So after getting back, I put on my running shoes. I went to the local track where we had a track meet, and I tried to run a mile as fast as I could. I finished the mile in 5 minutes, 20 seconds. Wow. And so I'm pretty excited about that, but I want to go faster. And so next August, I'm going to run the 5th Avenue Mile in New York City, and I'm going to try and run it as fast as I possibly can. And then I hope to tell you a faster time than 5 minutes, 20 seconds.
I hope for our students you get a chance, maybe in gym class, maybe at home, to try and see how fast you can run a mile. Maybe you scope out a neighborhood. I think for me, I did a little over 8 minutes, and I collapsed in a puddle on my front lawn. So I'll get there slowly but surely. But five minutes and a bit is nothing to scoff at. That's incredibly fast.
Yeah.
Miss Feelings class, come on back in, and then we'll take 3 more after that. Again, this is like the best Q&A ever, you guys. You guys are so engaged. I love it. Hey, grade 7s.
Hi. Would you do it again if you had the chance?
Yeah.
100%. I feel like I have a way more intimate connection to the United States, to the wonderful people that make up this country. Absolutely would do it again. I would pick a different path. And so I'm thinking about maybe like San Francisco to DC, for instance, so that I could see new stuff.
Yeah.
The life is short, so I want to make the most of it. And yeah, running across the country was a really wonderful 84 days that really life-affirming experience. So yes, I would do it again. I'd pick a different route.
Yeah, we'd certainly love to see that. Some of the best of the U.S. is in the South, and I'd love to see you going through some of those deserts because they're just special.
Yeah, totally.
So of the states you did do, I love this from Miss Martinell's class. They want to know, what was the least problematic state? Was there like a really flat one that was tiny that you could get through?
Yes, so I would say the least problematic was New Jersey, which was part of our first and second day. It's relatively small, a lot of cool history, and it was by and large the least problematic. It was pretty smooth, all things considered.
Fantastic. All right. Wilson's class. So Pish asked a question about what you ate. You highlighted a little bit of this with Cliff Bars and sort of hiding in the shelter of the truck. So I want to know from Wyatt's question, how far have you run in your lifetime? Do you have an all-time chart? Or
that is a great question. So I'm since 2019, I have been tracking my miles, and since 2019, I'm up to just about 12,000 miles. And then from 2019 all the way to 1988, when I was born, I didn't track very carefully. I would estimate somewhere around 30,000 right now. And so, but I'm just getting started. I love running, so I want to keep doing it. And Wyatt, I'm going to be tracking more carefully going forward because it is fun to see how far you've gone.
So I want to stress for our students, I mean, we talked about the U.S., of course, in this cross America journey, but 12,000 miles is about half the Earth. So if you were to start at the equator at the international date line, you'd get back to the, oh geez, I can't even think of the name of it right now. What's the middle? Prime Meridian, that's the name. There we go, Geography 101. So we'll have to do the other side in the next few years. Great question, Wyatt. Yeah. All right, General Kruar, one more question to wrap us up. Come on back in Toronto.
Yeah, thank you. I think you hinted at this, but we didn't catch it. And we wanted to ask you, if you don't mind, how old are you, Greg?
I am 33, and I will be 34 in 10 days.
Well, happy early birthday. That's so exciting. You're making me feel very unaccomplished at 30 here. I'm going to have to start doing something exercise-wise.
Keep following your smile, Jesse. You're doing amazing stuff, man.
Thank you kindly. Greg, this has been such a beautiful program. I want to stress again, if people want to check out your personal website, gregnance.org, runfarfoundation.com, if you guys want to learn about it, certainly U.S. classrooms today. So much great stuff on the go. Again, Greg's mission is to really bring smiles to people's lives and, purpose and passion. So Run Far Foundation does just that. What a beautiful launch with your run across the U.S. And on social media, since you were so willing to share it with our classes today, some fantastic images there. You only got a little bit of a sneak peek in today's presentation, but there's so much more you can go back on and see his next adventures too. Like in that New York, find out how fast you go in that 1 mile. I'm excited to check it out.
Thank you so much, Jesse, and everybody attended today. It is really a blessing to have a chance to share. Thank you.
Awesome. Greg, what we do to end every broadcast, I'm going to bring in all our teachers to say a big thank you and farewell. So Miss Merrifield's class, Miss Gertson, Miss Phelan, Miss Aaron, Miss Monaco's class. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much.